So yeah, continuing on, it's like, you know, and it was easy because I've maintained myself a physical appearance in a certain way, so that energy only fits a certain look. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that you have to look a certain way to do that. It's just, I'm my own unique individual. Nobody can replicate me. I'm not trying to be if I was trying to be somebody else when I'm bartending, like if I saw another bartender and I'm trying to be that bartender, it's going to be harder for me. Because I'm not being myself. I'm not being authentic. You get what I'm saying? But speaking of authenticity that I was speaking on in the last video, this is why it's important. Like, practice and walk the walk, talk the talk. What you do. I love gardening. I talk a lot about eating fruits. So I grow the fruits. You get what I'm saying? I grow the fruits. I talk a lot about physical strength, mental strength, right? I do. I practice this on a daily basis. I have negative thoughts that come into my mind. But once I'm aware of them, it's like you shed light on it. Like a roach, and it just wants to scatter away. But if it's there in the dark, you know, it's going to fester and it's going to start to grow and grow and grow, and you don't become aware of it. You don't transmute it or change it to something else. So in this one, I want to talk about what a disease is. I'm not a medical doctor. Do your own research. Don't listen to what I say. I am letting you know I am a lymphatic iridologist, all right, certified healer, certified hypnotist, and I'm a nutrition counselor. I'm very well versed in the area of supplementation. Just making sure you know that, so you don't ban my fucking video. But a disease, okay? You have to know what it is first, okay? So you get implanted a mind virus. You have this bad idea called a disease. You buy into it, okay? You buy into it. And what happens is that now it starts to put you in a certain mental state, right? Now, you eat a certain way, okay? Foods that cause stagnation, okay? May be imbalancing your chemistry, and then this is what causes now a perfect recipe for disaster. So you have knowledge, terrible information in the form of a bad idea called a disease. You eat a certain way, recipe perfect for disaster now, right? You live day-to-day life. You're not aware that you may feel inflammatory thoughts or emotions toward people, places, and things. Grudges, anger, envy, hate, greed, lust, any of these things, okay? Too much of it in an unbalanced state is now a added recipe for disaster, okay? Now, here's the thing though, when it comes to emotions, it goes on a little bit of a depth, because here's the thing though, the foods you're eating, okay, have an emotional effect on you. And it's not just the chemistry that the body has to process, like the complex molecules or complex, you know, the protein for the body to pull apart to utilize as information for the body. It could have a lot to do with the fact that you are eating certain things and you don't know yourself, okay? You are processing emotions if you're eating an animal. You're processing not only the complex molecules and proteins, you're processing emotions, which is very complex. Now, if you already have hitchhikers in your fucking vessel, okay, and you are now processing, you know, these emotions from what you ate, you're going to feel a certain way. And you may take it out on other people outside of you that are basically yourself. Do unto others as you would want done unto you, okay? But this is why it's important to know yourself, but also this is why the whole concept of prayer is important. You pray over your food, you transmute the energy when you take it in. Again, I had lamb chops yesterday. I was in a very high frequency and vibration. Sometimes a lot of people can eat low vibrational food, but it doesn't affect them because they're in a high vibrational state to begin with. They're not a person who is in a lower vibrational state. So the food, as far as emotions go, cannot really bother them. Matter of fact, their good attitude toward life in general sometimes even neutralizes the imbalanced chemistry that's happening in the body, okay? Because it all starts from that. Somebody who has cancer, diabetes, or any one of these things, a lot of the times it has a lot to do with emotions that they're holding in. Stagnation, Again, you're holding on to a negative emotion. You're holding on to anger towards somebody. You have a grudge toward a family member. You have these things that you hold on to that you just can't let go, and they're really, really festering in there and causing inflammation in the body. And this stagnation, along with stagnant food, is causing the dis-ease, right? Now, the isolated names they give you for them, diabetes, cancer, I don't even know, a bunch of fucking diseases that you can come out with, arthritis, you know, anything. They're all deities. That's all they are. They're all deities. Because if you look at any one of these diseases, it's all one thing, and it's the cause of one thing. It's all the same thing. They just isolated the fucking names of these diseases. No different than you go out and you take the chemistry from an herb and you isolate it and you make it a supplement. So now it's a supplement, right? So here's the thing. Any disease you have is the cause of one thing. Again, I'm not a medical doctor. Do your own research. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But it's all one thing. They just isolate these names. These names that you know of in the form of these diseases, you become very fearful of them, right? And what ends up happening? They start to consume you. Who gives you this information mainly and foremost? The doctor. And since you have so much faith in that doctor implanted that deity called the mind virus into you. Okay? So what happens is that this deity, that's all these little individual isolated diseases are. They're just deities. And then what happens, they start to grow within you. They start to grow out of fear. You hear what I'm saying? Not knowing that they actually feed off what you're holding on to as far as negative emotions and bad attitudes toward people or life or things in general. If you change your perception toward the things outside of you, knowing that you're playing this game by yourself and there's nobody outside of you, it'd be very easy for you to actually change your perception, and it'll be easier for you to let go of these things. Because nobody wants to do self-harm to themselves. You cannot self-terminate, right? But you're slowly but surely, little by little, self-terminating yourself by actually thinking that you're wishing bad upon somebody else. That is a form of self-termination because you're actually hurting yourself. You can even hear this from financial gurus. If you think you're going to get rich by diluting others, you're more than certain to actually dilute yourself and actually deplete yourself of all kind of life and energy and even abundance. One way or another, it's going to be taken from you in one way or another. You get what I'm saying? There's no level of fulfillment. You can have the money, but there's no fulfillment. And it doesn't mean, because people think that the money is actually the source of happiness, that they're going to be happy once they get the money. But in actuality, that happiness, that abundant feeling is a state. Like I told you before in my previous videos, it's like I didn't have Donald Trump's net worth, but I felt like Donald Trump when I was living in New York, you know what I'm saying? Because first of all, it was like proper management of what I was doing according to what's coming in. One of the main keys and golden rules here is don't spend more than you have, right? So I was making a very good amount of money, but I also moved into an apartment that was very nice, but it was also something that I could afford. You get what I'm saying? I had 3 cars, but I could afford it. I still had money left over because it was just the amount of money I was making. I could have bought more fucking expensive cars or moved into a much bigger place, because now what would have happened is that I would have had that luxury to show, but I would have been stressed out and maybe not even had that abundant feeling to grow even more, because I put myself in a state where I couldn't handle those physical means because I wasn't making that energetic currency in return. You get what I'm saying? But the key is to grow from where you're at, but leave yourself cushion so that you can still have that sense of security. That sense of security is that feeling that you can now transmute into something you can invest in to make it grow even more. Because you can still have that cushion and still waste it on shit that doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like your attention. What are you investing your time and energy into? Because whatever you put your time and energy into is what's actually growing. So this whole concept of diseases and whatnot, you put attention on these diseases rather than putting the attention toward the regeneration and healing part. So you're constantly in fear. Once you get to know this little bit of information and know, for example, just study a little bit of the things outside of you that are presented to you, such as like quantum science, that nothing really exists unless, it's like the whole observer theory. Nothing behind me exists unless I'm looking at it. You're in darkness right now. People talk about the sun is what lights the planet and gives life to the world. A blind person, okay, feels their way through reality, right? You are here and you're depending on just the sight. Feel your way through reality as well. Who's the light of the world? The reason they say you can only see a certain percent of the color spectrum is because you are a piece of the entire whole that you see outside of you in the form of other people. These people are you. And that's why it's important to understand and see their point of view and their perception and try to digest it to connect dots to what it is that you're trying to see. You get what I'm saying? It's not to be closed-minded to think you know it all. You don't know shit. And the reason you only see a certain percent of the color spectrum or you only use a certain percent of your brain is because that's what you decide to do. Based on ignorance and closed-mindedness or your ego and you think you know everything. So it's important to have, that's why, look, this is what I wanted to talk about in my previous video, but I didn't get a chance to, so I'll do it now. There's a purge. A purge. I did this 2 years ago. And it happened with Instagram, it happened everywhere. It's my own little ritual that I do. Just like I do a fast, I purge out toxins out of my body, but I do it in an organic way, a naturopathic way. I'm not gonna put enemas up my ass. I'm not gonna fucking take laxatives to flush my system. I'm not gonna do that. What I do is I change the chemistry of what I am ingesting so that the chemistry on the outside appears to be balancing out for me as well, because my world that I see outside of me is me inverted inside out. Okay? So if I'm observing my reality outside, I'll start to see that these parasitic people start to fall out of my life. So there is a ritual every September 11th, which is called the purge. The ZIGZAG annual purge every September 11th. Okay? And I did it 2 years ago, and there's going to be an ongoing thing. So when people ask me, how about these toxic people in your life or toxic family members? You don't have to do much. You don't have to do much. All you have to do is let nature run its course. So when you change, everything outside of you changes. If you see parasitic people or toxic people outside of you, they're a reflection of you. You have toxicity and some bullshit, fucked up mentalities in you that is actually manifesting in the form of that person actually triggering you to some extent. It's a shadow aspect of yourself, okay? You can sit with it, but then you can also address it, right? Through chemistry, I mean, if you're ingesting a certain chemistry, it's gonna change the chemical output of your body, like your expression of how you fucking feel and all that. Again, feeling is conscious awareness of vibration you're in right now. So if I decide to change what I'm eating, it's no different than if you're consuming negative information. Like if you consume the media, it puts you under a certain fucking mental state. You get all fucked up, you feel like shit. Eventually even leads to diseases or whatever conspiracy theories you're listening to eventually becomes your reality because you entertained it and you become what you eat. So if I change what I'm eating, okay, it's gonna change inside of me where I'm starving the parasites within me, and you do this with intent, by the way, okay, then what you do is you're gonna start to see these things outside of you fall out also. That's how it works. So the purge is gonna happen every year. It's a fucking ritual I make for myself, which is happening for me right now. I ate the lamb chops yesterday. I'm starting a vegan diet for a very long extended period of time. Okay, I'm going to eat eggs very seldomly. From time to time, I may go to a farm and eat the egg. I'm not gonna buy them from the supermarket. It'll be from a farm, from around here, freshly. I got a farm that I get the eggs from. And here's the thing, though. The techniques of the detox video that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put those into practice for myself. So, and I've been vegan before. I've seen the polar opposites and the spectrum of differences between one and the other. I've done the urine therapy before. I see huge differences with it. And just because I'm a lymphatic iridologist who don't entertain the field that I'm in, those people don't entertain urine therapy. But what does that mean? That means that I shouldn't either? No. See, I'm not tied down to, I listen to the information that they speak on, very valuable. But when I speak on the detoxing part, and I'll slightly cover it here, which I've covered it in other videos, all your toxins are eliminated through breathing. You can even observe this. If you're drinking alcohol, you notice how they say you got alcoholic breath? When you intake liquor, you're intoxicated. It's a toxin. Okay, it's got very detrimental effects on you, which I'm gonna make a separate video on just the alcohol for the fucking assholes who think that alcohol is good for you. Okay, If you take in alcohol, it's absorbed into the bloodstream, okay? It goes down your throat, goes into your stomach, okay? Gets processed in the liver, goes through the kidneys, most of it gets pushed up back up to your heart, you know what I'm saying? It gets into your lungs, some goes into your brain, it gets all over your body. And I'll explain it in detail how it works. But most of the toxins that go into the lungs, like the alcohol, what's happening here is that what's going on here is that it's actually going to it's like a sponge. So you're breathing, right? And when you breathe out, like they tell you breathe on a breathalyzer, that's basically because they're measuring the amount of toxins that are in the lungs. And if you actually breathe a little bit harder, you'll actually see that you are able to eliminate these toxins through just breathing, right? The next is what? Urination, but you're not eliminating it through the urine because you're actually causing some vasoconstriction in the kidneys. And in the kidneys, when you have that vasoconstriction, what is going through the kidneys? Filtered blood. But if you got vasoconstriction going on, all right, vasopressin, then what do you think is happening? You're flushing out waters. You're actually dehydrating yourself. You get what I'm saying? So this is basically how it's working. So you're eliminating most of the toxins through the breath, okay? And it's not, if you observe urine is 95% water, 5% is waste. What is the waste? Nitrogenous waste and ammonia. What is that? That's basically animal protein. That's the meats that you're eating, the garbage that you eat on a day-to-day basis. That's the 5%. You get what I'm saying? That's the 5%. If it's 95% water, when you have a cut and whatnot, they tell you to pee on your leg, or if you got any, there's a reason for that. But the only reason it's toxic is because of the toxicity that you eat. See, what you eat, for example, okay, technically what you eat from nature, you process it, you should give it back to nature. Your poop and your urine is actually, it could be used as compost for the soil. But the reason you can't give your poop to the soil is because of the pharmaceuticals and all that bullshit that you eat, all these toxins you eat. That's why. So this is why you can't do that. Again, this is why you can't even drink your own piss, because of the toxicity that you have in your urine is depending on the toxicity that you're reintroducing to the body. But the rest of the stuff is what? Electrolytes, some minerals that the body didn't use, but it's mainly filtered blood. What happens when a vampire has blood? They regenerate, they re-energize, right? So this filtered blood is a regenerator. They call it the fountain of youth for a reason. So if 30% is coming out through urine and poop, and 95% of that urine is water, pure structured distilled water, then where's most of the poop, the waste coming from? It's out of your ass, out the back door. See, you don't dump toxins back into the blood. You would die. But you do get a certain level of these ethanol, the alcohol. When you drink alcohol, you're intoxicated, right? You're intoxicated. See, alcohol is a cleanser. When you have a cut, you can clean your cut with with alcohol, right? But it should be no different than you taking certain things for medicinal properties like garlic or onions. These things are very good, potent, powerful medicinal properties to them, but you don't eat them every day. They're very bad for you if you eat them every day. And alcohol is actually a spirit, but you structure that liquid, okay? And you use that spirit to your advantage. You drinking that shit every day, you think you're doing fucking good for yourself? Absolutely not. And half of the time, if you're in a low vibrational state and you're not aware of it, but you're lying to yourself saying that you are in a high vibrational state, this is because you're masking or you're suppressing the symptoms. This is why sometimes people who are like depressed or whatnot, or or let's say they want to run away from certain things, they'll just drink alcohol because they just forget about their problems. You get what I'm saying? When in actuality, the alcohol should be used for cleansing properties because it is a spirit. But what spirit are you taking? The water. Like the water that you drink from you is the perfect temperature of your body when you drink it right away. That's the perfect temperature your body needs. Not too hot, not too cold, but it's perfect to break up the mucus in your body. You get what I'm saying? But I don't even suggest going directly into the urine therapy, because see, the detox video I'm gonna do next is gonna talk about the steps that I'm going to take basically into going into this detox method so that you can actually utilize the urine to your advantage. You get what I'm saying? Water is the universal solvent. How powerful would be the 95% water that's going into you, okay? Along with the 5% that your body still utilizes to break apart whatever it is that doesn't belong in your body. How is it dirty that when you loop it, it becomes clearer and clearer, right? How is it dirty? Now, you technically, again, should give back to the earth what you eat from nature, but you're eating GMO shit. So the earth doesn't like GMO fucking shit, doesn't like pharmaceuticals, doesn't like supplements. So technically your shit is supposed to be compost for the soil if you're eating a biologically appropriate diet, if you're one with nature. That's truly being one with nature. Being one with nature is not only just the fact that you can recycle your poop to nature and let it process it again to give you more fruit for the next year, for the next season, but it is also being one with nature where you can interact with the bacteria and viruses and all that shit that's in the soil, right? But your body inside has to be earth-like as well. If it's too acidic, that's like me putting you in fucking a hot-ass planet or in a barren desert. What bacteria can actually survive in that environment, right? It cannot. So you appear to have deficiencies of, you know, digestive enzymes or strains of bacteria. That's why you got to go buy probiotics then, or you got to buy supplements. I'm a B12 deficient, I'm a D3 deficient, I'm a this deficient. Then you got to go buy the supplements. Again, it's no different than somebody seeing a deficiency in a plant, so they got to go to Lowe's or Walmart to buy fertilizer to fertilize that plant. Why? You're not doing anything. All you're doing is you're not changing the structure of the soil. You're not changing the conditions of the soil to be like nature. So you ain't gonna fix the problem. You'll temporarily fix it, but you just have to keep buying fertilizers. So you have to stay out here working more for the land. Like, you want things to work. Like, if you have a business, you want it to work. You want to sleep and be able to make money while you sleep. That's the ultimate goal. You don't want to go out and physically work. The only time you make money is when you're clocking in under a clock. This is where it comes down to science, spirituality, and then, you know, the money of green, the money of the green thumb of nature. When you count money, you do this, don't you? Right? Green thumb. That's when you count money. If you have a green thumb in nature, it's the same thing. But the green thumb in nature only works based on your frequency and vibration that you have toward nature when you step outside. The plants pick this up. When you're outside in the business world, what's your inflammatory attitude toward fucking the cities or money or any of that shit? It's depending on how this physical manifestation of energy is attracted to you. Spiritual energy. What is all that? That hygiene depends. Like, you could smell people. You know what I'm saying? You can smell people and you'll know the fucking conditions that they're in spiritually, or even the type of the chemistry that they eat based on how they smell. They mask it with perfume though. That's like masking your fucking problems with alcohol. A natural pheromone. I like to smell the natural scent of a woman. I'm sure a woman would really like to smell what a true fucking man smells like. Come smell me. So that's all I got for this video. The next video, I'm going to talk about the detoxing part. If you like this video, like it. If you, you know, share, subscribe. We'll talk soon.